Alright, hello everyone. My name is Søren and this is Driven to Play, evaluating the benefits of video games through motivational psychology. Ooh. So to start off, I'm going to ask a question. How many of you play video games? Just raise your hand. Alright, pretty good amount. So according to a 2023 poll done by the Entertainment Software Association, 65% of Americans play video games every week. Who thinks that video games are beneficial or to your life or someone you know's life? Okay, decent amount. How many people think they're harmful? And then, how many of you are unsure? You don't think there's a definitive one way or the other? Okay, that's almost right. So, according to that same poll, a percentage of American gamers that found them to be beneficial in their lives was 96%. Okay. So, are they correct? Are video games actively enhancing the lives of over 20 million Americans, or is it the exact opposite? Since the emergence of video games in the 1970s, people have always feared their harmful and addictive qualities. Many have claimed that video games are a quick and easy way of getting a dopamine hit while damaging your mind and body. This argument conflicts with my experience. Harmful activities that easily generate dopamine, like addictions to sugar or social media, are short-term fixes to low dopamine levels, depression, or lack of motivation. They're easy and don't require effort, but their effects are not long-lasting. However, everything has a range. Hours of scrolling on your phone will not lead to happiness, but watching an inspiring, creative, or even creating social media content of your own could be extremely rewarding. In this same vein, could video games also exist on a spectrum? So to answer this question, we have to ask more questions. Why do we play video games? And really, why do we do anything? The main reason we choose to do some things and not others lies in our motivation. Motivation is what drives us. It's our call to action. Motivation is the reason we work, play, consume, and create. Without motivation, we would have no desire to do anything, ending each day feeling unsatisfied and unfulfilled. However, there's more to motivation than simply having it or not. There's many types of motivation, stemming from different areas of our brain that are all important for different reasons. Motivation can come extrinsically from outside sources or intrinsically from within ourselves. Extrinsic motivation stems from a want to achieve something, seek approval, gain a reward, avoid a penalty, compete, or be encouraged or demanded from outside sources. This type of motivation can be effective in the short term, but can leave you hopeless or lost when the external factors go away. Intrinsic motivation, however, can be nearly limitless, coming from within you. Wanting to improve yourself, creating emotional connections, following curiosity, having a purpose, can all be intrinsic motivators. Being intrinsically motivated to do something is when the activity becomes a joyful and meaningful way to spend your time. So when encountering roadblocks, it can be difficult to build up intrinsic motivation. Some feel that conjuring up internal motivation is simply impossible for certain tasks, and that external motivators are necessary to continue. While things like rewards and checkboxes are certainly helpful in jump-starting ourselves to accomplish challenges, they should not be relied on as the primary source of motivation. In 1971, psychologist Edward Deci conducted an experiment to demonstrate this idea. He gathered a group of students and gave them all puzzle cubes to solve. He told one half of the students that they would receive a few dollars for each solved cube, and told the other half of no such reward. After the experiment was over, he left the students in the room with the puzzles for a bit longer. The group who was given no reward during the experiment continued to solve more of the puzzles. However, the group who had been paid, assuming their window for reward was over, stopped playing with the cubes. This shows that when an external motivator, like money, was given to the students that were already intrinsically motivated to engage with the puzzles to begin with, the reward ended up undermining their intrinsic motivation. Instead of trying to introduce rewards and penalties, a way of building stronger internal motivation is to look deeper into the work itself and find what you enjoy. So if intrinsic motivation is so valuable, how do we achieve it in what we do? Do we just wait around until it comes to us, or are there ways we can create intrinsically motivating environments for ourselves? Edward Deci, along with fellow motivational psychologist Richard Ryan, tried to explain why people are motivated to do things in 1985 with their self-determination theory. The theory states that humans have three basic needs that we all strive to fulfill: autonomy, competence, and relatedness. Whether an activity meets these needs will determine if we will be intrinsically motivated to pursue the task. So autonomy is the ability to control your future and accomplish goals in your own way. Autonomy is not the opposite of guidance. In reality, motivation is cultivated best when there's a balance between guidance and freedom. For example, when boundaries are set and your goals are made clear and it's up to you to decide how to achieve them, autonomy and by extension, internal motivation is increased. Oftentimes, boundaries, guidelines, and goals can make it easier for you to make the important decisions. An imbalance in guidance and freedom can be catastrophic. Too much guidance becomes tyranny, and with an excess of freedom, you can become lost. In video games, this is most clearly seen with open-world style experiences like The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, which gives you the freedom to explore at your own pace. You could wander around, taking in the sights, slaying monsters, or helping the locals, or you could just head directly to the end of the game. Other sandbox-style experiences like Minecraft, Mario Maker, or even Breath of the Wild sequel, Tears of the Kingdom, provide the players tools to create whatever they want, giving them even more freedom to experiment and learn. Autonomy can be seen in non-open world environments as well. Some games ask the player to make decisions in the plot, and others give them freedoms to take down challenges in a variety of ways. The Last of Us, which allows you to take down enemies in your own fashion, is a great example of this. You could go in swinging your fists, or take a more strategic approach, such as sneaking by the enemies unnoticed. Video games as an interactive form of media lend themselves very well to autonomy due to the fact that the outcomes are directly influenced by the player. Unlike film and literature, which progress the same way no matter who's experiencing it. While you can't influence the plot of a book or a movie, you can express your autonomy by interpreting the plot's events in your own way. Competence is when you're capable in what you're doing, but also have room to grow. In order to build maximum intrinsic motivation, you need to have something more to reach for. Something difficult that will take effort to achieve. When you put in the work, accomplishing a task is much more rewarding. Despite the fact that challenge can make something more enjoyable and valuable, if it's like an impassable brick wall, all motivation will disappear. This is a time where you should think of ways to get around the block rather than just ramming into it head first and burning yourself out. As bad as this is, everything being overly easy will also result in a lack of motivation, as the activity will get boring and repetitive. The balance between ease and challenge needs to be found in order to maximize motivation. In the world of game design, this is known as the difficulty curve, how the challenge ramps up as the designer introduces new ideas. A finely tuned difficulty curve follows the player as their skills progress, consistently providing new challenges. However, when it introduces a new idea, concept, or mechanic, it does so in a safe environment. The player can use this time to experiment with new ideas without getting punished for not knowing how it works. This is what gives the curve its saw-like appearance. When you find the balance between ease and challenge, you're competent. You're good at the task, and you know how to overcome obstacles that may come your way. Having a feeling of competency is vital to keeping motivated. So apart from simply being something to get good at, video games can also enhance cognitive functioning outside the digital world. Many studies have shown that video games can improve reaction time, hand-eye coordination, mental health, decision-making, problem-solving, and creativity. When you're being challenged within a game, you're not only growing your skills within that game, but also developing your mind in ways that apply to the real world. Playing Mario Kart will only improve your digital racing abilities, but also enhance your reaction time and strategic thinking. Starting a new Minecraft world will only grow your competence in virtual mining and crafting, but also your creative thinking and spatial awareness. And finally, relatedness is the emotional connection you have with people around you. A strong sense of relatedness is maintained when you're exposed to other people that you connect with. A big criticism video games and technology in general receives is that it disconnects you from the world. While this is true in many cases, video games also have an incredible power to bring people together. Back in the early days of gaming, the arcade was all about bringing people together in one spot to compete and collaborate. Even today, multiplayer games are abundantly popular, particularly ones that support online functionality. The internet has allowed us to connect with people all over the world, and the gaming industry has embraced that. While the toxic competition that internet gaming has allowed is undeniable, it's also created one of the biggest forms of worldwide social connection in our modern age. Despite multiplayer games being the most obvious form of relatability within gaming, single-player experiences also offer many ways of connection, such as discussing a game with friends or relating to a character within a story. Throughout history, one of the best ways of expressing emotional ideas is through story, weaving rich narratives and dynamic social webs between characters. Literature and film have always been doing this, but within the past few decades, video games have begun to tell compelling narratives as well. Learning and observing characters in a story, whether through a page or on a screen, has been a vital way of creating connections for ages and will be for years to come. So, by looking at gaming through the lens of self-determination theory, we find that many games actually do fulfill our three psychological needs. They fulfill our sense of autonomy by giving us the freedom to decide how we tackle problems. They fulfill our sense of competence, providing enough challenges that it takes effort to complete, while boosting our cognitive capabilities. And finally, video games can help create emotional connections between players, whether you're playing online or just discussing your favorite single-player experience. This demonstrates that many games actually do involve quality autonomous motivation rather than simply easy dopamine hits. So, despite the fact that video games do encourage intrinsic motivation, we cannot ignore the dark side of the gaming industry. There are many developers who use strategies straight from the casino in order to hijack our minds into playing the game over and over again. These types of games can most easily be found on mobile devices due to how accessible phones are. These games provide never-ending, mindless fun with repetitive gameplay loops. They bombard us with constant positive feedback that makes us feel like we're doing something important. And of course, some developers offer expensive loot boxes that hype up their content so much and never quite seem to give you what you want. So games come in a wide variety of styles. There are those that fulfill our psychological needs, boosting our cognitive capabilities, and providing ways to connect with friends. And then there are those that disconnect us from the world, tricking us into a false sense of accomplishment. Though the game itself has a huge impact on whether it warrants positive or negative effects, the way it's being played has just as, or if not more, influence over the well-being of the player. Overuse, neglect for responsibilities, and over-reliance on it as an escape from reality will always result in negative effects no matter what the game. In fact, these behaviors are unhealthy no matter what the activity is, be it scrolling on social media, watching TV, reading books, or even doing work. Yet we all know that these come with undeniable benefits that could outweigh the potential harms. So are video games worth our time? Does playing them result in fulfillment, or are they just a waste? The answer? It depends. Video games do have the possibility of pulling us into an unhealthy addiction. However, when they're used well, they have the potential of being extremely beneficial in our lives. Thank you.